Well, good morning and welcome to Focus Today. Steve Johnson here with you, and I've got a couple guests, so it's great to be with both of you because there's so much to talk about. I'm with Vitalik Dudukaloff and his wife Marina. Did I say your name right?
Yeah.
Sound like right. I knew exactly what I was saying, but I had to look at that a little bit. Now, you are the Ukrainian National Director for an organization called The Least of These, so there's a whole lot to talk about here because you kind of, as you mentioned, you've had an association with Samaritan's Purse and also CBN, which of course we are CBN and some of their news programs and yes. so on. Mm-hmm. So a lot of things to talk about, but the big thing is you work in Ukrainian orphanages, schools, and villages. So you live in the Ukraine most of the time when you're not visiting here, I yes. suppose, right? Give us an idea. How big is this orphanage that you have?
We we don't have our own orphanage. We were, as an organization, The Least of These, ministering to different orphanages.
So you go into the orphanages
yes.
with it, and with a message of Christ, I assume?
Absolutely, absolutely. For 19 years, we were going to Crimea and visiting orphanages there. Maybe some orphanages were pretty big, like 200 children. And we would associate with them maybe for summer camps, like invite them over, and they would be with us for 10 days. And those summer camps were, I think, some of the most effective means and tools to minister to these children, because they would change in these 10 days. Some of the teachers that would come with these children kind of to oversee what is going on, they were surprised because they couldn't see any possibility for these children to change, because they are like, street smart children. They are, after their own things, and they don't behave well and don't obey well. But when they would come to Christian camp, and as the List of These, we would put a team together from different churches that would minister to these children. Children would start changing almost from day-to-day basis, and on the third day they already are behaving well, they're obeying everything, and without any yelling at them, without harassment or anything. That was a miracle of God, and every year we could see that happening. Teachers were amazed, and their report was like, we never believed that anything can be done to these children by doing good to them.
Okay, now I want to get the concept for all of this. Are these state-run orphanages?
Yes.
They are? Yes. Okay, and so, like Marina, what are the ages of these kids? Are they young? Are they older?
I think they have encouraged, they have had even kindergarten, yes, so from the age of 3 up to 18.
Is that right? Wow. So you've got a huge group of kids. You have 200 kids from age 3 to 18. Give us an idea. Are these are state-run orphanages that you come in with a message of Christ?
Yes.
Okay. Now I want to wrap my head around this, because I know that Christianity and the Baltic states, certainly there's been an influence. We think of the churches there that have been there, but communism has kind of changed that over the years, now supposedly coming back.
Yes.
Yet you're welcome into these state-run orphanages. Were you surprised at this, or is this just a normal thing that happens?
No, it's not a normal thing, because according to the law, of course, as church, we cannot come to a state institution and start talking to children about God.
Okay.
But I think several things were happening. I think God's favor, of course, to go to certain places where you're not supposed to talk about God, but you're allowed to do this. God's favor, this is number one. Second, I think the staff of those institutions, they saw how we are dealing well with children, with love, and they've kind of probably felt that we cannot do this to these children. We should be like hard staff to them, But these people are kind enough and they're okay to do this. Maybe we let them do this. So we would come and we would hug children, talk to them like friends, like with respect to them. Not, doesn't matter where they're from, who they are, how old they are.
Yeah.
We would talk to them how to adults, like in a good manner. And that would probably create a certain atmosphere that would allow us to come back again.
And they noticed a change in the children in the orphanages
They would notice the change in the children.
Now, let me get the scenario of who these children really are. We don't think too much of orphanages in the United States. We used to have them, now not so much. So how did these, from what you could tell, all the way from 3 to 18, how did these children get in these orphanages? What caused them to have to be there instead of in their homes?
Okay.
Mostly it's dysfunctional families where parents will drink or on drugs and get to prison, and this is why the states take the rights.
Parental rights.
Yeah, parental rights from parents.
Okay, and it sounds like it's pretty strict when that happens. And then these kids were they street smart before they got there, or did the orphanage kind of help that mentality, do you think?
I think both. If the family is dysfunctional, children grow on the street, we say. And there they get all their education. They kind of already come prepared for that. And the orphanage, of course, makes it even worse. That's just like vicious circle, you cannot get away from it. And it gets implanted into them for a long time. Even if they graduate and if they get into the good environment, they still struggle with this background, yes, it's a survival mentality, and get like full-size citizens of their community.
Yeah. So you, if I understand this right, you go in and you say, we need to help this orphanage, so you're going to get your own team with you to go in and do that. Is that how that works?
Yes, exactly. We usually we would make announcement that we're going for such and such period of time to the orphanage, and we do the program there. We need team members. Usually we probably invite some team members that were with us before, because it takes certain education to become a team member in this environment and to learn how to rightly minister to these kids. Or we would invite new people as well. We are trying to shoot two rabbits here. First we try to minister to children, but also we understand by inviting people to this ministry, we are training them to be good ministers in these areas. How to do a good summer camp, how to minister to children, because some people come without any background of ministering to kids. They just thought, that's a good idea, let me do this.
Sure, yeah.
And they come, we train them, and some of our biggest joys were when we heard that these people went back to their churches and they decided we're going to start a children's ministry or start a summer camp for our church.
Let's get your background. How did you get involved in this anyways? Does this have anything to do with how were you child psychology majors or anything like that?
No.
We were studying in Bible college, and we were invited to Crimea as interpreters.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yes.
Interpreters for who?
For English speaking
for the
team.
list of this.
Yeah, for the list of this.
I see. So they kind of got in touch with you on this. So this has been ongoing for a while, and then you decided we're going to be part of the least of these.
No, I think we joined the second year.
Yeah.
Okay.
The list of this came to Crimea in 1998, and in 1999 we were invited.
Oh, you've been doing this a long time then, haven't you?
Yes, like I said, 18 years.
So you are here for a reason, I suppose, in the United States, is that right?
Here we are to give update to some churches on what is going on with our ministry and where we're going right now, because actually everything what we just talked about, we cannot do anymore.
Oh, and why so?
Because of the situation in Crimea, because Crimea got under Russian control, and Ukraine now doesn't have extent of its authority over there. Yes, and we are not allowed to go there anymore and do programs like this, because in Russia, state controls everything more harder. What is going on in these organizations, in orphanages. You need to have permit for anything what you're trying to do, where previously we could do this on personal basis. Like I come to the director, we are such and such, we are trying to do this, minister to children. Would you allow us to come? You seem like to be good people. Okay, please come. Like this.
That worked pretty well for a while.
That's how it worked. Yes. Now we need to have permissions and other things, and which we cannot do actually.
And also, I would like to add that our ministry was not only to the orphans. We, for the last, I think, 7 years, we had a huge ministry in poor area of of Crimea for Muslims. We did programs in kindergarten, in school, in
just in
in
coming
club,
to the town, yes, and in a city club, we would come and invite kids for the program. They would come.
We do Christian kids program.
And that was in Crimea.
And it was,
But you can't go. When were you told you had to leave?
Russian authority came to Crimea in the beginning of 2014.
Okay.
And
well, we saw things escalating there, so
Yes.
it was right around that time period.
yes, and yeah, we could come for 2014, but we saw how this institution starting to close and say like, we know you, we love you, what you're doing, we understand who you are, but we cannot do this anymore because if the news will get up there, we will be out on the street.
Fascinating. You know, and I wanted to get into this. We're going to continue our discussion. We have Vitalik Dudukaloff and his wife Marina, guests with us. They're with the organization called The Least of These, and we're going to talk more about that. I want to get into that whole Ukraine-Crimea situation and where we're at right now with the freedom going on. I think that's probably more freedom in Ukraine than what we thought, but not so much in some of the other Russian-controlled areas.
Yeah.
We're going to talk more about that coming up in just a few minutes. Keep it tuned right here for Focus Today.
I'm Paulina Leiser, producer of Focus Today. Thank you for watching this video, and make sure to check our other videos at theDove.us.
Welcome back to Focus Today. Steve Johnson here with you, and my guest Vitalik Dudukaloff and his wife Marina from the organization called The Least of These. And we've been talking about how you move in to help orphans in the Ukraine and specifically in Crimea, and how, of course, we've seen a lot of events changing in there because of Russian incursion into that area. And it's had a direct impact, if I can summarize briefly. You can't go back to Crimea because the Russians say you can't. They're under control of that, or at least the pressure is there that if you did, somebody would get in trouble that way. And that, you expect that to continue, I suppose, until something were to change. You just can't go back to Crimea. Is that the idea?
Maybe you explain why we cannot go briefly.
Okay. We can get to Crimea if we go to Russian territory and from Russian territory cross borders to Crimea. But going from Ukrainian side to Crimea, we're not allowed because we still historically, like me and my wife, we were born in Russia and we were raised as Russian citizens, and we still hold Russian passport. But for the last 23 years we live in Ukraine and we feel like we're Ukrainians, and our kids were born there. They have Ukraine. One of them has Ukrainian citizenship already, and we want to, like, going to Crimea now from Ukrainian side. Ukrainian side says you cannot go to occupied territory unless you have their real estate or you have there some close relatives living in there.
And it's rule for foreigners, and we
any foreigner.
You're considered foreigners?
We're considered to be foreigners.
Really, because we have Russian passports.
Yes.
Oh,
on Ukrainian territory.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So that's interesting. So you got, I think of the Apostle Paul, who says he was a Roman. You know, he used his passport when it worked, but you can't. So you can't go into Crimea from the Ukraine.
Yes.
But if you went back into Russia, you could.
We could.
We could have.
Are you thinking of doing that, or
No.
is that?
No, we don't.
Okay.
We want to honor Ukrainians' decision, Ukraine's decision on Crimea, because we personally disagree with what happened with Crimea.
Would you say that there is more religious tolerance in Ukraine than there is in Crimea and Russia?
Yes.
This is an area that, you know, when we hear the news, we're not getting into those subtleties that I think are important. But so you have quite a bit of Christian freedom in Ukraine.
Yes.
But in Russian-controlled areas, it's not the same.
It's a big difference. Even all these 23 years that we lived in Ukraine, we always felt when we crossed the border, you know, you feel the different atmosphere in Russia and in Ukraine.
And you were born in Russia,
Born in
weren't
Russia.
you?
We lived for 20 years in Russia and for 23 years in Ukraine.
So are you continuing on with the group for the least of these? You're working with them in Ukraine, but you can't really do it outside of that area.
Yeah.
Yes, right? We continue our ministry as the least of this in Ukraine. So we decided to concentrate our efforts on the village where we live, which is located 25 miles down south from Kiev.
Okay.
We like children, and we like children's ministry because we believe affecting children's lives, we can change the future of our country, which we all hope for, that we want to change the future of our country. Seeing the problems in our village, seeing how much alcoholism is killing people, seeing how dysfunctional families are, seeing how children with families but with orphan thinking mentality grow in our village. We feel like we are called to influence on this situation and try to change something at least. So last summer we held a summer camp for children, and we invited just 11 kids from our village.
Okay.
And it was like a first step establishing new relationships with people in the village who think we are not Orthodox believers, we are evangelical believers and considered to be by default a sect. So that's kind of like a gap. We are like a new people, not like new people, but church that is not like accepted well in the environment, and we're trying to do something for children. Who are these people? Okay, we will let them have our child and see what will happen. As a result, the camp went really successfully. We began to build long-term relationships with children. This is different from what we were doing in Crimea. In Crimea, because in Crimea we were doing like short mission trips. We come, we do a summer camp, and we go back to home.
Okay.
Here, we understand what we're doing. We probably will do with fewer kids than in Crimea, but we're going to do these long-term relationships. So after summer camp, we decided we will continue meeting with these kids. And now every Sunday we are meeting with them, and our group grew from like 11 together, but 7 we started from to start Sunday meetings. Now it grew to 30 children, and they're all from unbelievers' families.
And not necessarily orphanages. I mean, it's just kids from the area.
But unfunctional families. Some of them, they're dysfunctional families.
Just to let you know, just to give you a picture of what families in our village are. You know, alcoholism, killing. Just killing people. This Sunday, while we were here, and we had our sons were doing summer Sunday club in our home for these children. 25 children showed up, 2 new, and later on they have let us know that one of the girls' mother, who is coming to our summer Sunday club, died these weekends because of strong effect of alcohol in her life.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
She's 35 years old.
And the lady was 35 years old. Some of these children that come to us, we know their parents are drinking. We know maybe they have only mother or only father that is maybe not taking care of them really well.
Yeah.
So we began to feed these children in our home and to cook for these children. Who would do cooking? We decided, okay, let's invite mothers of these children. Let unbelievers come and see what Christians are doing, and let them just feel the touch of God here. And these mothers are coming, and one of them is saying, like, after several times she was cooking for us, she's telling her mate in the kitchen, okay, let's cook really fast and go to the children's program. Why? Oh, because you will love it. Every time I'm at the children's program, I come out, I feel like the life is going. I feel so happy.
And you never thought your ministry would go that direction, but that's terrific.
No, but this is amazing.
So is this what you're doing full time?
Now that's what we're doing full time.
Really? And how are you supported?
We're supported by churches that know our ministry. Here in Medford area, in Eagle Point, there is a Community Bible Church, Bible Community Church, I think that's the proper name for it. They are strong support of our ministry in prayer and financially. Yesterday we visited them. We felt right at home. Everybody know us, even though we don't know them all. But everybody heard about us. They love us. They ask questions, they pray for us, invite us everywhere. Strong support. And the church where our leaders of the list of this, Rich and Cheryl Richmond, go in in Toledo, Oregon. We go to that church as well, and we receive support over there.
Ah, interesting. There's this Oregon connection with all of that. How often do you get over here? I can't imagine it's too often.
No, once a year.
Oh, well, that's not too bad, yeah. Do you have an English web page that people can go to?
Yes.
On the internet?
Yes.
What is that called?
It is the list of these.
.org.
.org.
The least of these.org. Okay,
Yes,
and that is in English, right?
That's
So
in
we
English.
Understand
Yes,
what's going on.
absolutely.
Yes.
All right, and this will tell, it's not that you founded the least of these, but you are with that organization.
Exactly.
Is that a Ukrainian organization?
It is founded in America here.
Okay.
We joined it, but we are doing all the work in Ukraine for this organization, planning activities, summer camps, bicycle trips with these children,
That's great.
a Sunday club. That's what we're doing there.
And we are planning to do English-speaking camp next summer.
Yes.
Where?
In Ukraine, in our village.
Really?
In our village.
Wow.
And we invite people from America, from these churches, to come and
Wow, that's good. Is that the
work-
first time you've done that?
yeah,
It's
we
going
will
to be
do.
our first time thing.
Well, that
yes.
sounds interesting. We'll have to see if we can hook somebody up with a video camera to kind of get more of an idea of what that's
Okay.
about.
Yes,
So how can we
absolutely.
pray for you both? In what ways would you want us to focus?
This children ministry I just talked to you about is growing. We even told children don't invite anymore, because 30 children in our home, that's kind of maximum we can hold physically. But last Sunday 2 new came anyway, you know. So we need new workers. We need, like Jesus said, pray that my Father would send more workers to the fields. And yes, we do need more workers. We want for the mothers, for the parents of the children to come to the Lord, and they would become the new workers. That's our perfect picture of what can happen. And those probably 2 biggest needs. And this summer, of course, we're going to have summer camps again. If previous summer we had to beg, please come to this summer camp for children. It's good. This summer we reserved 25 places for children, and they're already booked. Yes, children
The
are
word's
coming.
getting out.
Yes,
obviously, yeah.
so we will be sponsoring most of these children to go to this summer camp, because families cannot afford for their children such thing. So we need some finances for that. About maybe $100 per child would allow for a child to go to the summer camp.
And it looks like the impact isn't just on the children, but on their parents too, once they find out what it's about. And you have to, it sounds like you have to break down the barriers so that the parents aren't like, well, who are these people and what are they doing?
Absolutely.
Yes, and it's take time.
It takes
And
time.
I would think so, especially with what's happened in Ukraine and Crimea and Russia in the last couple of years. I imagine there's a lot of suspicion going on about who are you, what are you doing, and you guys are Russian, right? So why are you here? And
But nobody really knows. But there is no
there's
there is no line. You know?
As we were talking during the break, your accent doesn't give you away, does it? At all?
We learned Ukrainian language
Yeah.
and we speak
Yeah.
completely Ukrainian.
Yes.
So some Ukrainians say, oh, even us, we don't speak as well Ukrainian as you do.
Well, maybe you shouldn't speak it so well. Well, that's good. Vitalik Dudukaloff and his wife Marina, how long are you here for?
Here we'll be until March 26.
All right, so you're here for a while then. Good.
Yes.
All right. And if you want to go to the website to find out more, it's called theleastofthese.org, theleastofthese.org, and you'll be able to find out more about what you are doing in Ukraine. You'll be heading back at the end of March to do your summer camp stuff,
Exactly.
right?
Yes.
Good.
Exactly.
Well, thanks for being with us. Appreciate you letting us
Thank
know
you for
about all of this.
inviting us over.
All right, keep it tuned. We're going to be talking about kind of shifting gears slightly to our Judeo-Christian heritage in the United States. Just how much is there, and how legitimate is that? And what about immigration issues? We're hitting all the topics on Focus today. Stay tuned. More of that in about 2 minutes here on The Dove.